This is an update for the Am I the Astronaut for taking back a shawl my wife made for a bride-to-be after she was uninvited from the wedding. I have absolutely no idea how to post an update in AITA, so I figured it was best to post it here in case anyone is interested. Everyone will be glad to know that I have not given George back the shawl. I mean, part of the reason I haven't given it back is because he's on his honeymoon. I hope it's rained for the past 2 weeks. But even if he hasn't, I still wouldn't give it back. Later that evening, Lena apologized for being mad at me. She said that she should have never agreed to make the shawl in the first place and was grateful that I had taken it back. Okay, so he knew his wife well enough to know that she wouldn't oppose this for long or in the long run. Lena and I had a long discussion about her family and how they treat her. I told her that I would always stand up for her when it comes to her family because I will stand strong when she can't. I asked her what she thought about going lower contact. We were already low contact with George, his now wife, and her mom. Lena said that she wanted to go no contact with George, his wife, her mom, and to go low contact with everyone else but her second oldest brother and his wife. We'll call them Michael and Sarah. She said she wanted to do this because of how toxic the group chat had become, which she has now left and has shown me that she has left and deleted the chat. We have both blocked everyone but Michael and Sarah. I'm going to wait a couple of weeks before I broach therapy for Lena again. I just want the dust to settle a bit as I don't want her to feel pushed into anything. The story the wife gave Lena about there not being enough space was bullshit. Michael confirmed that George had told him weeks ago that they were well under numbers for their venue. It was just a shit attempt at a power move. I know some Redditors were concerned about my work life after I took the shawl. I spoke with my manager and told him that Lena had made a shawl for George's wife, but they had given a shit reason for uninviting her to the wedding the day before the wedding, and I took it back. When I told my manager this, he sighed heavily before telling me that he wished I hadn't taken the shawl because George could make things difficult for me, but that he would have done exactly the same thing because George is a nightmare. I told him that I'd like to move to another team because it wasn't good for Lena to have to be around him. He told me to leave it with him and he would see what he could do. I'd have moved when George was first put on my team, but Lena encouraged me not to as she didn't want me to rock the boat with her family. I heard back on Monday that I will be getting moved to another team at the end of the week. Damn, I thought this manager was going to move George. I really did. The other team is desperate for someone, so when my manager reached out to other managers to see if anyone had an internal vacancy, this manager bit his arm off. That's an interesting expression. The day of the wedding, Michael called Lena and asked what our plans had been for the day. Michael knew that Lena wasn't invited to the wedding and rightly assumed I wouldn't go if she wasn't welcome. Lena told him that we had planned to go out for dinner and drinks. Michael told her that sounded like a plan and to text him where we were going for dinner. Michael and Sarah had decided to skip the wedding after seeing the meltdown of George, his wife, and their mom in the group chat. Apparently, they continued spouting abuse at Lena even though she had left the group chat. When the family turned on me and our children was when Michael and Sarah decided they weren't going to the wedding at all. They were just going to go to the ceremony after Lena had been uninvited. Wow. They turned on their kids? What? Okay. They messaged George to tell him their flight had been delayed and they wouldn't be able to make it. Their flight wasn't delayed, it was just the excuse they used, and George never responded. Michael had seen George's abuse of Lena firsthand, had tried to protect Lena where he could, but there was only so much he could do as a child himself, and didn't want to be on the receiving end of George's temper either. As an adult, he took the first chance he had to move away from his family while only maintaining contact with Lena. So we went out with Michael and Sarah, having a much better night than we would have done at the wedding. There were no snide comments, no belittling, nothing. Lena was happy as she got to see Sarah, and that was what she was looking forward to. Lena being happy was all I wanted. It's all I ever want, my family to be happy. Both Michael and Sarah's phones did keep going off all night as mother-in-law and George kept messaging them, angry at their non-attendance, especially after Michael posted a picture of the four of us together having drinks on Facebook with a caption about how he was choosing Lena over George going forward because she doesn't use people to get what they want like George did over a crochet shawl. Michael admitted to me later that he did this to anger George because he'd have a meltdown at the reception and then his in-laws could see what an ass he actually is. Oh, Michael, I like you. I like this guy. Yes. Given the gleeful messages I got from Michael last week after he had heard back from a cousin who attended, George had a complete meltdown. Lena knows about this post, but she's not comfortable with me posting pictures of her work. She considered unraveling the shawl, but she found it difficult to undo all of her hard work, which I understand. It's the very reason I didn't unravel it myself and tell George it was an IKEA shawl. It took me a second to get it. I got it. Well, that and I didn't want to face a mad Lena. After talking with Sarah about what to do with it, Lena has decided that she's going to keep it, but she will dye it. Michael suggested that she wear it to family Christmas. We aren't going to see Lena's family at Christmas, so it won't be happening anyway. Michael and I are at the same level of pettiness as I had previously suggested, as some people comment on my original post, that I could wear it to work when George is back. I didn't show Lena many of the comments. She doesn't need to see people calling her a doormat or saying she needs to grow a spine. These people clearly haven't had their spirit completely broken by the people who are meant to love them unconditionally or were completely cut out of family events. When George graduated from uni, Lena was left at home. She was 8 years old and left home alone all day. Christmas was spent mostly in her bedroom because her grandmother didn't want Lena around as her presence would just upset George. Until she was 14, then she would sneak out and spend it with me and my family. Lena was just left out of everything. Her dad used to work away from home a lot, so he had no idea what was going on. He just assumed Lena liked her own space. Not that she would just stay in her room because she was used to being neglected by her family. Good God, man. God. Okay, so back to the original question. Is he the astronaut for taking the shawl back? Hell no. Hell no. And the issue that I had before with going against your wife's wishes. Okay, he knows her well enough to know that she wasn't going to stick to that and that she was just trying to prevent more drama, trying to prevent more harm. But pain creates change, right? And this pot stirring and everybody's reaction was just enough for her to be like, you know what, screw it. I'm done with this. I'm done with all of this. And how horrible to come from a family like that. I know a lot of people have a dark family history, but to still be neglected and mistreated by your family as an adult through group chat, like choose your tribe. She finally chose her own and is limiting the contact to prevent these people from being able to hurt her. Michael's pettiness is top tier. Big fan. Also, OP, really like his ideas as well. And I'm glad that he stood up for her when she couldn't. And they have the kind of relationship where they can do that. And it wasn't him making a decision against her wishes. It was him standing up for her when she couldn't. That's a line that's tough to see. I guess it's unique for every relationship out there. Whenever you're doing something against your spouse's wishes, but you're doing it for them, standing up for them when they can't. And that is important. It was in this case. And it's going to lead to a much better, more calm, more enjoyable, more happy life. Well, for OP and his wife, and for Michael and Sarah, who ended up choosing to go no contact with him either. So that's great. George can eat glass. George sounds like a shit human being. And Michael, the strategy and the timing of posting this at the right time so that George would lose his shit at the reception and everybody could see his true colors. Perfect. Brilliant. And now they know. Now everybody knows George is an ass. Congratulations, you just got married. George is an ass. Candy Thunder says, this is exactly what I would want you to do for me. Help me grow a backbone. And now I know. I mean, I'd like to think that I would do that anyway. Doing something directly against your wishes, Candy Thunder, would be tough for me, though. If you were like, no, I do not want you to do that. There would either have to be an elongated discussion with the two of us, or I would have to see the long game here and be like, I've got to do this. I've got to do this for you. I've got to do this for us. This is a life-changing moment. This is a pivot. Pivot. We have to do it. But some people need that. And I think your partner, a lot of times it comes down to your partner to take action when you can't. In this case, Lena was going to be upset either way. So it would be either upset with him for sticking up for her or just upset for a longer period of time and more hurt. And I'd rather Candy Thunder be upset with me than allow anyone to hurt her too. That makes perfect sense. You know, I'm fortunate enough to come from a good family where everyone, you know, we were asses to each other as kids, but in a very typical sibling kind of way, not like this. To go through an upbringing rough like that and to have it just carry over into adulthood would just be shit. And you can only take so much.